So, got a little bit of time, um, so in this particular video, I am going to address the particular subject matter and some comments that was made about uh Floyd Mayweather and Tank Davis, and basically the blueprint that it appears that Tank is exercising, but at the same time trying to make it look like, you know, he's really seeking big fights. I don't understand why would Tank's team tell Devin Haney to go fight Boots Ennis if he goes up to 147. Um, Listen, I'm gonna say this, and this is just real talk. Bill is my friend, and I ride with Bill, but at the same time, doesn't mean I agree with everything Bill says. You know, we got to be at this point, especially and particularly as black men, to where we don't cancel each other or cast off each other because one person says something that we don't like and we may not agree with. You know, people say stuff that I don't like and I may not agree with, but it doesn't mean that I have to say, okay, I'm done with this dude. And I think black people is too quick to cast each other off, but at the same time, they don't have no problem forgiving the oppressor, the long oppressor. And you know who I'm talking about, with non-melanated skin, or anybody that doesn't look like us that has melanated skin, or maybe somewhat part of the melanated family, but don't consider themselves to be wit or a olive branch or basically a branch of the melanated family. And you know who I'm talking about. So, when Bill was doing his post fight interview talking about what's next for Team Haney. Actually, it was after the actual press conference, and he spoke to a lot of media and he addressed a lot of different things. And he basically called out Tank Davis, and he called out pretty much, I'll call him out, and I've been calling him out, the PBC and Floyd Mayweather for being anti-black fighter. And I see a lot of these dummies making these videos thinking that people want Al Heyman to fail and all this kind of stuff, and calling us coons because we call Al Heyman out on some of his antics and how he treats a lot of his black fighters in his stable. Now, he has his favorites, but at the same time, he doesn't treat them all like how he treats some of his favorites. And that's all we've been saying. And at the same time, if you think I'm finna bite my tongue and watch what I say because you guys don't like what I have to say pertaining to Al Heyman, but like I said before, you want to talk this sellout coon and Uncle Tom stuff, but then, like I said, you guys sitting up with, every type of woman except a black woman and refuse to date black women, but you so pro-black militant. You such a hotep, so just shut up. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to address some stuff that Tank said that came across as weak. The history of boxing, one of the greatest achievements you can have was to become a world champion. So now, based off the fact that Tank is trying to change the narrative and say belts don't matter, but at the end of the day, it comes across as, well, you don't want to be a champion because if you agree to be a sanctioned champion, then you have to fight certain fights and fight certain people. At the end of the day, can, you know, Ryan Garcia, to me, I don't think for the most part he's going to beat any super elite fighter. I still see he hasn't corrected some of the mistakes he makes. Even me, when I'm training, I listen to the trainers and they tell me how to get better. So they help me fix my form and, do some things with my shoulder so I can develop more power. So I listen, but you see this blueprint with Tank. This is the same thing Floyd would do. This is why a lot of people don't consider Floyd an all-time great. And this is what I call a lot of these fighters having Floyditis, where a lot of these fighters literally want to stay undefeated as long as possible because that's Floyd's lifeline. That's all he has, is to say that he never lost a fight in the ring. Okay, that's fine. But then the way he maneuvered, yeah, he did make smart business moves. But then at the tail end of Floyd's career, when he became Floyd Money Mayweather, there were a lot of fights out there for him to fight against, top of the line black fighters or, melanated fighters. And Floyd chose to go the direction of fighting a lot of Hispanic fighters, primarily Mexican fighters. And this isn't the first time somebody has said this about Floyd doing this. And now it seemed like he didn't pass the torch on or gave the blueprint to Tank. Because I'm trying to think, when was the last brother Tank fought? I mean, Rolly, Rolly, I don't know. That's debatable. I mean, Rolly's mother is black. She's a light-skinned black woman, but his last name is Romero. He has a Spanish last name. And then you saw what happened with Floyd. After Shane Mosley, Floyd didn't fight. Once again, you talk about Miguel Cotto, whether you want to qualify Miguel Cotto as black. Once again, after Shane Mosley, Floyd didn't fight a black American-born fighter till basically Andre Berto. And that was like his last fight. And Floyd would handpick these Hispanic fighters that he felt that he could pretty much, if not easily beat, he would have a better and more easier time beating than fighting some of the black fighters that was out there. And that's factual. Because if you think about it, Floyd never tried to really go for, he never tried to go for undisputed. Never tried to go for undisputed. And you have to look at the times, who were these dudes that had belts when Floyd could have went for undisputed at the time. And Floyd, some of the belt holders were black fighters. And there's something to it. And you have to ask yourself, for real, when was the last time Tank fought a black fighter? It's looking like he's going to fight Isaac Cruz. And while people say, well, Devin Haney hasn't fought anybody in the top 10 pound per pound list, well, actually, that's a lie, because according to ESPN and according to a lot of reports and pound per pound lists, a lot of people had Lomachenko ranked as number 1 pound per pound. I never thought Lomachenko was a pound per pound, so now I'm finna use people's words against them. So technically, Devin fought and beat a pound per pound fighter. He beat a former pound per pound fighter. And I'm trying to think, when was the last pound per pound fighter Tank Davis beat? Or at least was scratching the surface, the mythical pound per pound list. Is Rolly a pound per pound fighter? Absolutely not. Isaac Cruz was going to be an undercard fighter, and basically the original opponent got hurt, and then he was a replacement. When has Isaac Cruz headlined his own fight? And at the end of the day, Tank is going to smoke him if they fight again. So I'm just saying. And when people were calling for Tank to fight Lomachenko, well, he elected not to fight Lomachenko, because you heard what Floyd Mayweather said, they're not going to make another promotional company great. So they pretty much admitted that there were certain fights that they wasn't going to make, and that they refused to work with other promotional companies. I don't give a fuck about them being sued by Top Rank or Golden Boy. At the end of the day, the PBC got through it. The best way to get even with them is sign the best fighters and settle it in the ring. But at the end of the day, Al Heyman is not, not getting the pass as well, because he's in on this too. He's just as much as he's just as much in on this as Floyd Mayweather and Tank. If he do make a fight between two black fighters, for the most part, the undercard is going to be filled with, primarily Hispanic fighters. Now, the last undercard was solid. I ain't got nothing to say about the last undercard, but then they did it because people started to notice that. Keep in mind, it's the same thing that's going on with ESPN. Now that they got a lot of heat on them, basically on how they tried to cover up the Josh Giddey situation, well, you know, they had to talk about it. And then the way they covered it, they were just trying to dismiss it. And I'm not done with ESPN, Malika Andrews, and Stephen A. Smith and Adam Silver, because they all exposed themselves. They all were shown for the hypocrites that they are. Malika Andrews, when shit got hot, she ran to the producers at ESPN and tried to have Stephen A. Smith basically speak on her behalf. But she was real quick to talk all that tough girl talk and act like she just wanted all the smoke. And when the kitchen got hot, she ran. So that's pretty much what was going on with the PBC. And then look how the PBC, I've said several times how the PBC treats black media. But once again, you hotep niggas ain't nowhere to be found. You don't make videos talking about that, but then you want to call everybody a sellout or a coon that speaks bad on Al Heyman, even though Al Heyman is known for shelving primarily a lot of his black fighters. If you do something he don't like, he'll put you on the shelf. You go against him, he'll put you on the shelf. You know, he the one that was, nobody wants to talk about how they was trying to devalue and undervalue Terrence Crawford going into a fight with Errol Spence. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this again. I'm gonna say this again. I didn't agree with Bill's take on Terrence Crawford about Terrence Crawford fought a weight drained Errol Spence. I mean, you don't have to do, and like I said before, you don't have to do that. But I'm gonna tell you where a lot of this come from. You know, Bill has strong ties and affiliation with the LDBC. You know, and primarily most of the people in the LDBC is anti Terrence Crawford, or anybody that's affiliated with Terrence Crawford via Shakur Stevenson. And basically Shakur Stevenson gave them all the venom that they needed based off his last performance. Now, I'm gonna make this very clear, and I'm gonna say this. I don't work for nobody. Okay? I'm gonna say this again, and it's the last time I'm going to address this. I'm affiliated with the LDBC, but I'm not a member of the LDBC. My channel is called Town Business Sports and Entertainment. I deal with people that's affiliated or in the LDBC, but I've said this before. I don't like all of them dudes that's in the LDBC. And they don't like me. It was one in particular, I was hoping he was going to come to the fight, since he was sitting up talking all this shit about I ran from him in Las Vegas when I didn't at the Lomachenko fight. And I was going to see, since he said he was going to pull up on me, well, I gave him the opportunity to pull up because I went to the hotel where the fighters were staying at, where Team Haney was staying at. Now, I wasn't looking for no smoke, but I definitely was going to see, was he going to do what he said he was going to do? Nah, that bitch ass nigga was nowhere to be found. But if I was just gonna see, was he gonna do what he said he was gonna do, but he didn't show up. So I'm gonna leave it alone. But I went there, and then at the fight, it was like, 3 of my cousins was there, like 15 people that I knew from the streets, that I know really about that action. So, and then I knew some other people, some other affiliates, some other people that I knew. So it was good. I was, if it would, like I said, at the end of the day, I was well prepared. But, like I said, I already knew that dude was a bitch boy from the start, emotional bitch boy who got an attitude like a hoe because he wanted everybody to be Errol Spence fun boys. And I'm not. I fuck with Bud, I fuck with Team Crawford, and that's just the bottom line. So, like I said before, I got love for Bill, but I'm a man just like Bill. I didn't agree with what he said about Terrence Crawford, and he fought a weight drain Errol Spence. At the end of the day, Errol Spence signed the contract to come in at 147. He made weight, he made it to the fight, and at the end of the day, he got his ass handed to him. Now, whether these Errol Spence fans can accept the truth that the better man won, that's on them now. Oh, well, yeah. Well, I already, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I had met Fallon Fox a couple of times. So, I already I already knew her, I'd already knew her and I knew who she was. And like I said, the Oakland was thick out there. So, but it is what it is though. But I just wanted to put that out there. Tank is using this stuff about belts don't mean nothing. Him and Leonard Ellaby making these excuses so basically they can continue to cherry pick. Once again, Bill and them has already said for the most part they'll take whatever they gave Ryan Garcia, plus some money off the back end, whatever the pay-per-views sales are. But yeah, they've been pushing this notion that black fighters can't sell. But the funny thing is, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, the actual fight sold very well. It did decent numbers on pay-per-view, but that's been something that they've been pushing for, and that's something that black people been pushing. They want to sit up there and be you know, um, they want to sit up there and push these sometimes bitch match between these black and Hispanic fighters. Sometimes it could be a mismatch if the Hispanic fighter is far better than the black fighter, or the black fighter is far better than the Hispanic fighters. But they want to put together these mismatches, and that's what the PBC been doing, and it led to bad TV ratings, low pay-per-view sales, and that's why they lost their deal with Showtime and Fox, because it wasn't producing results. Why people are so mad at me for telling this truth, I don't understand it, but then again, the truth hurts. But I'm glad Bill called them out. But at the same time, I just want to say I didn't agree with what Bill said about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence fair and square. If Errol Spence had whatever these excuses is, if Errol Spence had a broken rib, that's his problem. That's not Terrence Crawford. And if Terrence Crawford want to fight him at 147, well, they negotiated that Terrence Crawford could pick what weight. Once again, these people just not they just not sure if Errol Spence can beat Terrence Crawford. Now all of a sudden, a few pounds is gonna make a difference. And they crying about, oh, that's not fair. But wait a minute, Errol Spence was the champ. He had 3 belts at 147. Y'all wasn't worried about his weight until that bell rung on July 29th, and the final bell rung where Terrence Crawford was announced the winner via stoppage. And some of y'all with y'all pathetic asses just couldn't accept it. But, it is what it is. But this has been going on for years. Tank resume right now isn't as good as Devin's. Devin, you look at who Devin fought, like I said, the fact that he fought and beat Lomachenko. And I'm going to say this again. If you think Devin lost to Lomachenko, I'm just going to say it. You're a fucking moron. Devin versus Lomachenko was pretty much the same damn fight as Jermaine Ortiz and Teofimo Lopez, where basically 2 of the 3 fighters won and 1 didn't, because a lot of people thought Jermaine Ortiz did enough to beat Lomachenko. Once again, Lomachenko gives up like 7 rounds, and then he tries to rally. Same thing with Teofimo. I know ESPN tried to make it look like Lomachenko won 1 round in between. Lomachenko lost the first 7 rounds. He lost to he lost to I think he won like maybe 3 rounds in a row, and then he lost the 11th and the 12th. He clearly he clearly lost at least 9 rounds. At best, he won four rounds. Same thing with Devin Haney. Lomachenko, to me, at best, I watched that fight 3 times. Devin Haney won that fight at least at a minimum 8 rounds to 4. All the close rounds should have went to Devin because Devin was whacking Lomachenko to the body. He hurt Lomachenko several times. Look at Lomachenko's face after that fight. Look at Devin Haney. Lomachenko went to the hospital after the fight. Devin Haney went home. Devin sent Lomachenko to the hospital, but Lomachenko talking about he won the fight. Lomachenko had 2 good rounds. And you've seen this same thing in so many Lomachenko fights. You saw that with him and his last few fights where he falls behind and then he tries to rally. Because to be honest with you, I thought he lost to Jermaine Ortiz. But his fanboys would have you believe that, try to come on here. What fight was you watching? Well, the fight I watched was I thought Jermaine Ortiz beat Lomachenko. What fight did you watch out of Devin Haney and Lomachenko? I saw Devin Haney beat Lomachenko. I covered that fight. I was watching that fight. And people really told the truth. Most people told the truth. They was like, man, Devin won that fight. Even though some of those rounds were kind of close. And keep in mind, in the press conference, Lomachenko admitted to me when he said, that's a good question. When I said, do you think you could have started off a little bit more faster, a little bit more aggressive, and tried to secure those early rounds and try to get the judges to sway your way? And he said and he admitted that he didn't do enough to win that fight. But he did have that late spurge, but too little too late. And he lost the damn fight. He lost the damn fight. And then where's this stuff coming about Devin Haney don't got no chin? And I see that people are already trying to make videos trying to discredit Devin Haney for his victory over Regis. Nobody has done that to Regis Prograis. Nobody did that to Regis Prograis, but yet you got people trying to discredit Devin Haney. Oh, Regis was old, all this kind of stuff. Well, here's the thing, man. He wasn't old until he wasn't old when people were saying he might win. Here's the thing. Terrence Crawford is older than Regis Prograis. So what's your excuse now? Sometimes I don't be trying to hear that stuff. Sometimes I don't be trying to hear that stuff. Terrence Crawford is 36. Okay. He's 36 and looking better than ever. Looking better than ever. Floyd Mayweather was 36 when he fought Canelo. Canelo was in his 20s. So what's your excuse? Nah, Devin just was the smarter fighter, and he just improved as a fighter. If Tank had knocked Regis Prograis out, y'all would have been saying that's the greatest thing that y'all ever saw. Y'all would have been saying, "Oh, Tank's the man." Nobody did that to Regis. At the end of the day, let's just keep it a buck. A lot of people ducked Regis for years. A lot of people didn't want to get in the ring with him because when between the age of 28 and 32, despite that loss to Josh Taylor, which I thought Regis won the Josh Taylor fight. If that fight had been in the States, they probably would have went with Regis. It was a close competitive fight, but I had Regis winning. If Tank had did that, they would be saying Tank is the greatest thing they ever saw. But then because it's Devin, and then some people don't like Bill, which once again, I'm still trying to figure out why don't people like Bill. like I said, all you do is see people crying about what Bill do and what Bill shouldn't do and how he supposed to do this. Listen, if you a manager of a fighter and he your son or whatever the case may be, worry about your fucking fighter. Stop worrying about what Bill is doing. Stop worrying about how Bill handles Devin. Stop crying about the shit. If you got a fighter, worry about your damn fighter. Worry about how you going to help your fighter. Worry about your fighter's celebrity status or how to popularize your fighter instead of worrying about what Bill is doing and crying about it every, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this again. I ain't on Bill's payroll. So let's get that straight right now. Okay. At the end of the day, Bill took care of me as far as the credentials go. He made sure I got credentials. He made sure I got a good seat. He did his post-fight media with me. That's all I asked. And Bill said it himself. Y'all will be crying if Bill I'm gonna say this again. I ain't on nobody's payroll. I can't speak for nobody else. Y'all are the same ones who complain about these dudes not giving the media access and not speaking to the media. Bill them gives everybody access. He gives me access. He gives small channels access because he knows. So why not? But if he wasn't doing it, y'all would be complaining about that. Y'all don't know what direction y'all want to go. Like I said, y'all just complain just to be complaining. And then let me tell you something. Y'all already know y'all have people here that like to ride certain waves. So you wonder which wave is going to get written about Bill's comments. Now, you know, you're going to have the people that's going to say, oh, you know, you're going to have these coon channels and you know who they are. That's going to go out of their way to attack Bill and say, hey, it ain't about race and all that stuff. Of course it's about race. But the funny part about it is the people who then made it about race, who've been ostracizing people that look like them have been black people. Floyd Mayweather, Al Heyman, and they look like Tank is on that shit. And then I'm going to say this again. Okay, Tank, fine. If you get this video and you say, hey, I ain't never going to do an interview with Town B Sports and Entertainment, I'll live. But at the end of the day, you sit up there, you talk all that stuff, but then as soon as somebody responds, you get mad. Just like you got mad at Ishe Smith, who said, hey, you need, even Ishe Smith, a former PBC fighter, say, hey, you need to fight better people. He say eventually people is not going to keep paying top dollar to see you continue to fight Isaac Cruz's and Garcia's and Rolly's and dudes like that. Now, here's the thing. Let's just say if Devin Haney elects to fight Rolly, they said Severio Matias, they saying that he priced himself out. But this is just the game that the PBC plays for the most part. They don't like to send their fighters over there to do cross-promotional fights. And once again, Al Heyman still ain't learned his lesson. Still ain't learned his lesson. You know? Well, you know, Tank, you know, no, I ain't even going to say that. I'm going to leave it alone. But I ain't even going to say that. That's a little too personal what I was about to say. I swore that I wasn't going to do stuff like that. But there is a lot of truth to what Bill is saying. He addressing the elephant in the room. But we all know the coon channels is going to come out saying, hey, you know, it's not about color. And they're going to find a way to try to attack Bill because that's what they do. Because a lot of these dudes need vindication talking to racists. I don't need no white supremacists to come on my channel to vindicate me. And I'm not one of these black channels that get off and try to, gain subscribers by talking about my own community on a regular basis and putting down my own community. Nah, that ain't what I do. if I have an issue, I will address it. I'm not gonna run from the smoke, and I'm not gonna run from criticizing people from my own community. But it's not like I'm doing it because I'm trying to get subscribers and I want a bunch of racists and white supremacists to come on my channel because they get off and they enjoy me constantly putting down black people, putting down my own community. And I already told you, you have the wrong channel, not here. The thing about me, I hold everybody accountable. Well, here's the thing. The problem that I have with them, I always knew what I'm saying is, was that fight really, did that fight really live up to the expectations? And for the most part, it wasn't really, for the most part, it wasn't even really that competitive of a fight. We all knew that Tank was going to knock Ryan Garcia out. Ryan Garcia, once again, has a mediocre resume at best, but somehow, some way, he made life-changing money. He made like $30 million, but here it is, Devin Haney, undisputed champion. And, I think he had 3 division champion, but yet here it is, Tank them telling him he need to go up. If he goes to 147, he need to go fight Boots. Why is you worried about Tank fighting Boots? Why don't you fight? Worried about Devin fighting Boots. Why don't you fight Devin? Why don't you send Devin a contract? Yeah. The fight that people want to see, look, Shakur's out of the equation right now. Shakur's going to have to get back in the ring. He's going to have to rebound, and he's going to have to reinvent himself a little bit. And another thing, Shakur Stevenson going to have to stop like attacking the media for just basically, telling him the harsh truth. It was a snoozer. It bored the shit out of people. People were falling asleep. I had to wake 2 security guards up. The media was sleeping. That's how bad it was. But Shakur said, hey, I don't fight for fans. I don't fight for the media and all this stuff. Listen, if you don't fight for fans, then you ain't going to have no fans. Because once again, that's a trickle effect. You sit up there and say, well, I don't fight for the fans. Well, the fans is the ones that pay to see you fight. The more tickets you sell, as the more tickets you sell, the more money you make. You are supposed to advance from fighting in ballrooms and fighting at state fairs to fighting in full-fledged arenas and stadiums. And how do you fight in arenas and stadiums? By selling tickets, having fans. So to say you don't fight for the fans is sort of like a moronic comment to make. At the end of the day, I'm gonna say this again: these damn fighters, they too sensitive, they too emotional to a certain degree. Listen, I understand that. We all can be bothered by comments. But then, like I said before, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. Tank tells Ishay Smith, you need to pick a side. First of all, this ain't no Crips and Bloods. This ain't no VDs. This ain't no come on, man. Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords. It ain't none of that stuff. Talking about pick a side. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, dude, for real. What are you talking about, man? There ain't no side to pick. At the end of the day, it's just boxing. And that's what I'm saying. Ishay Smith said that Tank is his friend, and he probably is. But that's what I'm saying. Tank sit up there and make that ridiculous comment. Oh, it should be sold out. You selling tickets for $57, but you got to see a quality fight for $57. You charging $200 to sit in nosebleed sections to see you fight people that you know that you're gonna beat. Nobody did believe that Tank was gonna lose to Garcia. Nobody believed that. Nobody believed that Tank was gonna lose to Rolly. Nobody believed that Tank was gonna lose to Ryan Garcia. And people are saying that Devin ain't fighting world beaters. Well, name me a world beater that Tank fought as of late. And we all know that for some reason they didn't want to fight Lomachenko. I know. They don't want to make another promotional company great. Like I said, that didn't make no kind of sense. And the thing is with Floyd, like I said, this is the blueprint he followed, and he passed it on to Tank. I have to admit, I think if Tank would have fought all those dudes, I mean, excuse me, I think if Floyd would have fought all those dudes in question that people accused him of not wanting to fight, who knows? Floyd might have would have had a hiccup. And just because you lose don't mean that you're not great. You rebound. You run it back. You run it back. But this day and age, people are more satisfied with one and dones. They don't want to see trilogies. Manny Pacquiao and Marquez was the last of great trilogies, multiple fights. They gave us 4 good fights. Even though I thought Marquez won every fight, even though I thought Marquez won every last fight with Manny Pacquiao. Marquez clearly won the first fight. Manny Pacquiao won like the first 2 rounds, and then Marquez won like eight rounds straight. He won like 8 rounds straight. And then maybe one in between. Then the second fight, they gave it to Manny Pacquiao, and I thought Marquez still did enough to win, and I thought he outboxed Manny Pacquiao. Third fight was a flat-out robbery. Marquez outboxed Manny Pacquiao, and it was just to the point he was like, I got to knock this dude out. So this particular fight, he almost got stopped, but he knew he had to take some shots to get Manny Pacquiao so confident to where he was so confident he got reckless, and it put him in position to land that shot that basically ended the fight. And I knew exactly what punch Marquez was gonna knock Manny Pacquiao out with, and it was that punch. So I'm just saying, but this is the age we live in. Floyd then made it to where these dudes are scared to fight the best guys available because they want to protect their O at all costs. Like I said, Andre Ward was the exception. I guess you could say to a certain degree, Floyd, based off who he picked, he was the exception. But now these other dudes, that's all they do. You know, all these other fighters now, they'll do whatever it takes to protect their O. Listen, losing a fight ain't the worst thing that could happen to you. I would be up for Josh Taylor, Tiafimo too. I would watch a Tiafimo Lomachenko too, even though I think Tiafimo would stop Lomachenko if they fought again. And here's the thing with Lomachenko. Tell Lomachenko to go up to 140 and fight Devin and see what happens. Because if that's the case, then Lomachenko fought a weight drained Devin Haney. But at the end of the day, all these dudes need to fight. And once again, like I said, Al Heyman, he don't have no problem making sure these non-blacks get paid top dollar. He made Conor McGregor made over 100 million, and he never had a actual professional boxing match up until the fight with Floyd Mayweather, and he got over $100 million. So whatever he gave Charlo and Keith Thurman at the time, it's nothing compared to what he gave Conor McGregor for one night of work. Insulting. Once again, Ryan Garcia done next to nothing, but yet he ends up making $30 million. But there's hesitation to pay. It was hesitation to pay Terrence Crawford. It was hesitation to pay Devin Haney. But I needed to address this, you guys, and we're going to continue to talk about this more. Well, when Bill calls me, well, all that stuff was crap. And then here's the thing. This is how good Devin Haney has gotten as a fighter. Regis Prograis in a championship fight had the lowest punches landed output. Devin Haney still was able to land 129 punches, which means he averaged around 10 landed punches per round, which is fine. For the most part, it was no booing or none of that stuff. He gave out enough offense to keep people satisfied. And he fought and he took it right to Regis Prograis. He took it right to Regis Prograis, and that's what Shakur Stevenson should have did. But then Dos Santos, he wasn't doing much of anything either, except like waiting to see what Shakur Stevenson was gonna do and try to counter the dude. And every time he did try something, he had tried once. When he saw it wasn't working, he'd back up, reset, try to come back in, and then he got predictable. So the fight failed because of both of them. So there you have it. Well, it's online. Like I said, Regis only landed 38 total punches. So there you have it. You can say whatever you want to say about Devin Haney, but Devin Haney is the real deal. Anyway, this your boy Town.